instead of feeling that awareness is identified with everything, in other words, identical to everything, that all experience is equally pervaded by awareness, we feel that awareness is exclusively identified with one particular object. Awareness pervades this little corner of my experience, but not that part of my experience. So it is not the identification of awareness with objects that's the problem, it is the exclusive identification of awareness. In fact, awareness naturally, we could say this is only a relative truth, we could say that naturally awareness is equally identified with, that is, the same as all objects. Understand, of course, that from awareness's point of view, it doesn't know objects as objects, but we make a concession to that, to the existence of objects, and we can say that naturally awareness is one with all objects, that is intimate, equally intimate with all experience. The sound in the so-called distance is as close to awareness as my most intimate thoughts and feelings. It is thought that identifies awareness with this little cluster of thoughts and feelings, but not those perceptions. In other words, from awareness's point of view, it is always identical to the totality of experience. From thought's point of view alone, awareness is identical to this, but not identical to that. I am one with this, but I am not one with that. So what we have to understand is that the exclusive identification is never for awareness. Awareness is always one with the totality of experience. In that sense, it is identified with everything. It is thought alone that says awareness is identical to some things and not others. In other words, what is commonly called identification with a thought or a feeling, which is a shorthand for saying the exclusive identification with a thought or a feeling, is for thought, never for awareness.
I think what's helpful for me in this conversation is realizing the error I've been making for years, which is when I see, for example, I am identified with a thought or a feeling, what I then do is create another object called awareness that I then attempt to stand and say, no, I'm not that, I'm this awareness, and it's over here somewhere.
That's true, but that's a legitimate step to take, and it is the first of this two-step process that I often refer to. If we feel that we are exclusively identified with a cluster of thoughts, one corner of our experience, a cluster of thoughts and feelings called the body-mind, as a legitimate first step towards the realization of the nature of experience, we can stand back from not just those thoughts and feelings with which we seem to be identified, but all thoughts, feelings, sensations and perceptions, and realize that we are the witnessing presence of awareness that knows them. That is a legitimate step to make. However, it is a slightly artificial step because we have separated our self-awareness from experience, the objects of the body-mind world, which in reality never actually happens. Awareness is never in the background, an object in the foreground. However, it is a valuable and in most cases a necessary step. Why? Because it establishes, first of all, the presence of awareness. Most people aren't even aware that there is something called something, that there is consciousness, that there is awareness. We normally think there are just thoughts, sensations and perceptions. There is just the mind, the body and the world. So this intermediary step, taking the witnessing presence of awareness, it establishes first of all the presence of awareness and the fact that it is primary in our experience. But then we pause there and we spend time exploring the nature of this awareness. So first of all we discover I am awareness. I'm not a thought, a sensation, a perception, etc. But then we take time and what is my experience of myself? How does awareness experience itself? For instance, Does it ever experience itself disappearing? No. Does it ever experience any limits within itself? No. Is it ever agitated? No. Does it ever lack anything? No, etc. So we discover in this very experiential way that what I essentially am was never born. It's not moving or changing. It doesn't grow sick and old. It doesn't die. Its nature is peace, etc. Then, having discovered that, the value of standing as the witnessing presence of awareness has been completed. And if we were then to stay there, that would represent a limitation on our further understanding. So we then have to collapse this artificial distinction between awareness and its objects. However, we don't go back to feeling I am one just with this little corner of experience. We then go back to this full multiplicity and diversity of experience, and we feel I am one with all of it.
Yes.
So in the hence this formulation that I sometimes use, in the first stage, I am something, this little body-mind. Then I am nothing, not a thing, the witnessing presence of awareness. And then the third stage, I am everything. It's not actually that I am identified with everything. I, awareness, am not identical to all these objects. It's rather that all these so-called objects are in fact identical to me.
Yes.
I am not made out of them, they are made out of me. To begin with, we think I, awareness, am made out of the body-mind. Then we realize I, awareness, am made out of pure, eternal, infinite awareness. And then we realize not I am identical to all of this, but all of this is made out of me.
Yes.
The screen is not made out of the image is made out of the screen. But we can only say that because we've discovered that it's not the body-mind that is primary, it is awareness that is primary.